Hello everyone, this is Kathleen and I'm so pleased to be here today and spend a little time with you. This is the second step in our Make a Junk Journal series, and this step is the cover. And I went through all of my recycled books and I decided to use this Recycled Reader's Digest. It seems like when I was first starting out, the cover was the hardest part for me. I didn't like worrying about whether I could find a cover that would be pretty or if I could make it pretty. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are worried about the cover, that there are easy covers to do. And I have, a number of videos. I didn't realize how many I had actually about how to make the cover. And so I am going to make a whole list of links of videos in the description box. You can take a look at some of the ones that I've made before. I have a whole little series on making cereal box covers and decorating them and how to do it, make it easy. So you don't need to be afraid of the cover, okay? And one of the things that I needed to show you how to do, so I trimmed this side. This side, I'm going to trim that down as closely as I can to the spine without cutting into the spine. And that will just make it so that this part is out of the way, and this will glue in easier. So I'm just going to put some glue up the spine, across the edges. I'm going to try to get glue in there so that it kind of smears on. And a little bit here along the top. And it will be covered, you know, with fabric in a minute, so I'm not going to worry too much about what this looks like. And I just I save whatever Tyvek envelopes come in the mail, because then I don't have to buy it. Otherwise, you can buy a little package of Tyvek envelopes in Walmart in the USA. I don't know where you would manage it overseas, but Walmart sells it here in the US. And then you just trim off a piece that fits on the spine and then over the edge a little, and then that just makes a really nice reinforced piece there. Okay, and then this is the fabric that I have chosen. I'm just going to glue it on top like that. But before I glue the fabric on, I want to put a little bit of lace here at the top of the spine. So I'm just going to glue a little bit of lace and have that peek out the top. Okay, so now I have that lace on there, and now I'm going to do the same thing I did with the Tyvek. I'm going to come along and put some glue. I'm going to try to get a generous amount of glue on the sides, right there where it bends. All right. Let's see how this works. I do apologize for the light. The sun just can't decide where to be. I want that to be even on both sides. And I'll take my bone folder. I want to just kind of make that crease. Okay, so once I decided on this cover, I realized that that's a pretty big spine, and I had only pulled papers enough for 2 signatures, and this is definitely a 3 signature spine. It's 1 3/4 inches about, and so I think I'm going to want 3 signatures, and so I'm going to have to pull a few more pieces of paper. But there, that spine is now very much reinforced and finished off neatly. I can do some other things in here later. If I want, I can make some little paint splatters, or I can do some sponging or stenciling or something. I probably will. But let's work on the outside. So these are the papers, the designer papers that kind of started this project. I have, from these papers, I have the cutoff strips, and so that's what I decided that I would use on the cover. I just decided to make, you know, a panel that would come down here, and that reminded me of a tag, and so I thought, why not use one of my tag templates as kind of a guide to help me make the design for this cover. And so I did. I'm using, loosely inspired by the tag template. I will double check, but I think it's called 3+2. And in the end, I decided I wanted to use this main paper. And then I went through all of my little things to see, because the template suggests that I choose 3 rectangular elements and 2 curvy kinds of elements. So I did that. So I went through all of my stuff looking for images, and I kind of found this one would be pretty. But in the end, I found this other one because that's very blue, and I don't want this to be completely blue. So I found this in one of my books. And so I have cut that. So that's one of the rectangular. Here is another of the rectangular pieces in that template. And here is the third. And then for the curvy, I have this pretty fussy cut sparrows. And I decided, because I want this to be shabby and I'm adding lace, I wanted to add one of these doilies that I showed you the other day. So the first thing that I need to do is trim this. So I'm going to mark this where I want to put that down. This is going to be a little bit longer of a video. Hold on 1 minute while I go slice this. Okay, so there's that. And I am going to round the corners. And, okay. Sorry for that noise. There we go. So now I'm going to use my matte gel. And this is an adhesive. And here's my tip. Is sometimes when you take the protective foil off, it just starts to dry. There is not a little thing under here anymore, and so air can get in there. I just put some plastic wrap as kind of a bumper, and that kind of helps. I glue the book here, and paint this on here. I want to use a generous amount, but I don't want to use too much, because too much just starts to warp the cover, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, one thing that I forgot is that I wanted to put this doily underneath. I'm glad I remembered. I'm going to brush on some glue, and I'm not going to worry that it's here because I'm going to go over it. And in fact, I'll go over the whole cover. Okay, now take my credit card. There's that started. Okay, so then the next thing is I want this to be underneath this. So this down about right here. Oh, can you hear the thunder? Good grief. There it is. Here comes the rain. Okay, when you're doing decoupage, it's pretty important to pay attention to your brush strokes. So make sure that your brush strokes, you don't have to always just go in one direction, but you need to finish in one direction. And each time you put something on, you need to be careful to keep that, you know, going in the right direction, so that as it dries, as you're working on it, then you don't have goopy brush strokes. Okay, so now I'm going to put this one on. Oh wow, that's a lot of rain. That's great. So I'm going to put some of this. Again, I want to be generous and get enough on, but I don't want it to be, I want that to come back down, I think. And then of course I need to pay attention to whether it's straight or not. Can you hear that? That is a pretty lovely sound. Okay, now I am going to put, I want to put a little bit of washi tape just down on this, just a little bit. All right. A little bit of this down, and then put this down. Is that straight? I've got to get up my tippy toes. Yes. Okay, and now I can put this little Tim Holtz number scrap on here. All right, and now the last thing is to put this, the fussy cut birds. But I'm going to try to put a top layer on. And I kind of pick it up and hold it this way to try to get that over to the edge. without slopping. There we go. I want to make sure that there's enough on there to give it a nice coat. And while that's wet, then I will lay this last piece on. There we go. And the last thing I do is take the brush in this one direction. Okay, so let me go away and dry this, and then we'll come back and I will show you how to put the button on. Okay, I'm back. It's dry, and I think that looks really good. I really like the way that's turned out. So one of the ways this differs from the tag template, if you look at the tag template, this is going to look a little different because I kind of exploded it. I took it off the edge of both sides so that there would be room for my button here for my closure. So that's the next step on this cover, is to make the button. So I need to measure in the middle. So I want to put the button at about 3 3.5, 3 3/4, and another 1/8. So here is 3.5. 3 3/4 is right about here. And there's the mark. I'm going to slide this over and then make the marks through the button. I will punch the holes. And then I'll come around on this side, and I want to sand that down a little bit because I don't want that poking up. I want this to be flat. Now I will punch a bigger hole going through this way, because then it will push up the paper on this side. Okay, so now I have the holes, and I have some thread and a needle, and I will go back down. Okay, now when I used to sew the buttons on, I would put a shank on it. But when I have a button that has that little bit of curve, can you see there's a little bit of space between the button and the book? And so that's going to be enough for my elastic. So this particular button does not need a shank. Thank goodness, because it's sometimes really hard to get that shank in there, the wrapped thread. So there's the button. I think I want to go in one more time. But I don't want to do this too tightly because I want there to be just a little bit of wiggle in there. Okay, that's good. So sometimes I just give it a little twist, and that loosens it a little bit and leaves it a little bit of room for the elastic. So now I'm going to tie this in a square knot, and I'm going to put just a little bit of glue in the middle of that knot. And then trim it. And then I'm going to glue these down. Now I'm going to cover this. I'm going to reinforce it right now with a little bit of old book page. Put that close to the edge there. Okay, so what this does is it just kind of secures those threads so that the button doesn't pull up. And then this will get covered up with a pocket or something like that. Okay, and once that grabs, then I take my ruler or something else that's flat, and I try to push down on that button so that the knot is as flat as possible. So there's the button, and it has just a little bit of space right there. I hope you can maybe see that. Here, can you see it over here? Yeah, there you go. All right, so there's the button, and here's the inside. Now we need to bring the elastic on. So I have my ruler, and again I need to measure. I think I'm through with that. So I measure 2.5 inches down from the top edge. So that's right about there. And then I measure 2.5 inches up. Right there. And then I take my crocodile, and I usually have it at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I come in and punch the hole. And then punch this one, same way. Okay, and now I need to get the, oh my word. I need a couple of eyelets. I do this from the outside, put the eyelet in. Okay, so there's the, for the back, and then I just need, now is the elastic. I think that I would rather have this color with it, so okay, I need to measure it. So I usually come around, and then I estimate how full it might get, and then come down, and then back around. Okay, so that's about what I need. This is about 18, 20 inches. So there's the elastic, and I'm not going to put it on yet. I'm not going to do the beads, although I have these pretty beads here that I think will make that cover look pretty. Because as I work in it now, as I sew the signatures in and make the decorations, I don't want those beads knocking around. But there's the cover is now finished, and I'm pretty happy to have that done, and I think it looks really nice. I hope you do too. Let me know in the comments if you like that. If you have questions about making a cover or have concerns or worries, please make a comment and ask the question, or See if you can pick my brain about what you're worried about. I'm happy to help you any way I can. Thanks for being with me, and the next step will be to alter the signature papers with some smushing and dyeing and maybe some splatter and stenciling. We'll see. I'll see you again with the next step. Bye-bye.